I never thought I'd pull a gun on my own family. But there I was, finger trembling on the trigger, staring down the barrel at the people who'd raised me to believe blood was thicker than water. It wasn't loaded, hell. I wouldn't know where to get bullets in this godforsaken Midwest town, but the cold steel in my hand felt like the only honest thing I'd touched in years. And as my mother's eyes widened in that split-second betrayal, I whispered the words that had been festering since I was 16. You think you can bleed me dry one last time? Watch me end this holiday tradition right here. That Christmas Eve, the air in our old colonial house on Elm Street reeked of pine needles and resentment, the kind that builds up like plaque on your arteries until one wrong bite sends you into cardiac arrest. I'd driven 3 hours from Chicago, my beat-up Honda Civic sputtering through snow flurries on I-90, just because Mom's email had pinged my inbox 2 weeks earlier. Claire, darling, it's been too long. Come home for dinner. Dad misses his girl. No mention of the divorce papers I'd signed last month, or the alimony checks I'd been mailing like clockwork to keep their lights on. I figured it was a peace offering, a chance to mend fences after the shit show of my life imploded.
Boy,
was I wrong?
Dead wrong.
The table was set like it was 1,995, crisp white linen. Silver candelabras flickering with that fake electric glow because Dad's too cheap for real flames, and there she was, my little sister Emily, perched like a vulture in her Juilliard sweatshirt, fresh off another semester of pursuing her dreams on my dime. Mom fluttered around in her reindeer apron, ladling cranberry sauce that tasted like regret, while Dad nursed a highball, his eyes darting to the stack of bills peeking from under his napkin. We small-talked through appetizers, my job as a paralegal scraping by in the Windy City, Emily's latest audition flop in New York, the neighbor's kid who OD'd on fentanyl last summer. Normal family bullshit. Until the entrees hit the table. Pass the rolls. Claire Bear, Dad said, that nickname twisting like a knife. He hadn't called me that since I was a kid. Back when he'd coach my Little League games and Mom would pack bologna sandwiches for our bleacher picnics. Now it just sounded oily, like the gravy pooling on my plate. I obliged, and that's when Emily dropped the bomb, casual as lighting a cigarette after sex. Hey,
sis.
Thanks again for covering my rent this month. Juilliard's killing me, but I nailed that callback for the off-Broadway thing. She grinned, all teeth and no soul, while Mom nodded approvingly. I froze, fork midway to my mouth. I'd wired her $1,200 last week. Sure, but that was supposed to be a one-off, my emergency fund, the one I'd built from skipping lunches and overtime shifts. Not a goddamn subscription service. What do you mean, thanks again? I asked, voice steady but my pulse jackhammering. Dad cleared his throat, that gravelly rumble like tires on loose gravel. Well, honey, Emily's got potential. You wouldn't want her dreams to die on the vine.
Would you?
We've all chipped in where we can. Chipped in. Like the $50,000 student loans I'd co-signed for her arts degree. The ones collectors were now hounding me about because she ghosted the payments. Like the loans I'd given Mom after Dad's construction firm tanked in '08, the recession that turned our McMansion into a foreclosure whisper. I'd been the family ATM since high school, when I started waitressing at Denny's to cover groceries after Dad's drinking ramped up. They called it helping out, but it was extraction. Pure and simple, siphoning my blood to feed their illusions. By dessert, some store-bought pie that tasted like cardboard and lies, the check metaphorically dropped. Not a restaurant bill. No, this was home-cooked extortion. Mom sighed dramatically, pushing her plate away. Claire, we've been thinking. with the holidays and all, and Emily's big break coming. We could use a little boost for the roof repair. You know, the one from that hailstorm last spring. Dad chimed in, eyes glassy. Just a few grand.
Kiddo.
You're doing so well up there in the big city. Emily scrolled her phone, not even looking up. Yeah, Claire, you're like our hero. PayPal works. I laughed then, a sharp bark that echoed off the wallpaper peeling at the edges. Hero. That's what they'd branded me after the accident. The one that should have been Emily's fault but got pinned on me because I covered for her. Because blood. Because I was the responsible one. 16 years old. Sneaking out in Dad's truck to pick her up from a party in the next county over. She'd been wasted on cheap vodka, and God knows what. Begging me not to tell. I drove. Sober as a judge. But the black ice on Route 37 had other plans. We hydroplaned into a ditch. The truck totaled. Me with a shattered collarbone and a juvie record for underage driving and reckless endangerment. Emily walked away with a sprained ankle and a clean slate. Because I lied to the cops. Said it was my idea. My party. Mom and Dad coached the story. Protect your sister?
Claire.
She's the artist. You're the fixer. And I did. Because what else was family for? That lie haunted me like a bad debt. It tanked my college apps. Admissions boards don't love felonies, and locked me into community college. Then straight to the grindstone. While Emily flitted to NYU on scholarships, I slaved to maintain her GPA 4. I buried myself in law firm drudgery. Chasing partnerships that never came, because who hires a girl with a sealed record that always seems to unseal in whispers? But I'd swallowed it. All of it. Until that dinner. When the bill, literal and figurative, landed in my lap. I can't, I said, pushing back from the table. The chair scraped like nails on a chalkboard. Mom's face crumpled.
Crocodile tires instant.
Claire, after everything we've done for you? Everything. Like birthing me? Like the hand-me-down prom dress from Emily's closet? Dad leaned in, voice dropping to that paternal growl. Don't be selfish.
Now.
Family first. Emily finally looked up, eyes narrowing. Come on. Don't make this weird. It's Christmas.
Weird.
That word ignited something primal. A fuse I'd been nursing since the divorce. When they lawyered up against each other but still expected me to mediate and foot the therapy bills. I stood, chair toppling, and stormed to the coat rack by the door. My purse, my keys, my sanity. But as I grabbed my wool peacoat, the one I'd bought with my first bonus, the one that smelled like independence, Dad followed, hand on my shoulder. Claire.
Sit down.
We're not done. I shrugged him off, harder than I meant, and he stumbled back into the credenza, knocking over Mom's prized Hummel figurines. Porcelain shattered, like my illusions. Tiny shepherd boy in pieces on the hardwood. Mom gasped, clutching her chest like I'd shot her. Look what you've done, Emily snorted, half laughing. Classic Claire. Always breaking shit. That was it. The dam burst. I didn't grab the gun from Dad's nightstand yet. Instead, I yanked open the hall closet, the one stuffed with holiday totes and forgotten regrets, and hauled out the old family photo album, the leather-bound tomb of our happier lives. The pages flipped like accusations. Me at 5. Gap-toothed smile in front of the Christmas tree. Emily at 10. Opening her first violin from Santa, bought with my babysitting cash. The three of us at the lake house. Pre-recession. Arms linked like we were unbreakable. You want money? I hissed, slamming the album on the table, photos scattering like confetti from hell.
Fine.
But first, you pay up. I pulled out my phone, thumbing open the banking app, and transferred $500 pocket change from my savings to Emily's account. Not out of generosity.
No.
It was bait. There's your rent.
Sis.
Now log in and show them the balance. All of it. She blinked, confused, but complied because why not? Curiosity killed the entitlement. The screen lit up her face in blue glow, overdrawn, maxed cards, loans in default. $87,000 in the hole, courtesy of her pursuits. Mom's jaw dropped. Emily, what is this? It's nothing, Emily snapped, snatching the phone. But I wasn't done. I turned to Dad. Voice steel. Your turn.
Pops.
That construction firm legacy? Pull up the books. I'd hacked his email months ago, paralegal perks, after finding out he'd forged my signature on a second mortgage to bail out his poker buddies. The screen showed it all, debts piled like snowdrifts.
IRS lien.
The works. $200,000 underwater. And me listed as co-guarantor, because you're good with numbers. Claire. The room went tomb silent, save for the tick of the grandfather clock in the foyer, counting down to midnight mass they never attended. Mom whispered, "How?" But Dad knew. His face drained of color. Highball forgotten. Claire. That's private. Private. I echoed, laughing again. Manic now. Like when you let me take the fall for Emily's crash. Like when you drained my 401k for her tuition without asking. Private my ass. Emily shot up, chair clattering. That was forever ago. You said you'd handle it. Handle it. I rounded on her, inches from her face, the scent of her vanilla vape cloying. I handle the cops, the court, the record that killed my shot at law school. You got the violin solo and the standing ovation. I got the night shifts and the repo man knocking. Mom tried to intervene, hands wringing her apron. Girls,
Please.
this is Christmas. Christmas, I spat, the word sour as eggnog gone bad. The one holiday you two always said was about giving. Well, here's my gift. I grabbed the checkbook from the sideboard, the one Dad used for household expenses, and tore out a blank page. With a Sharpie from my purse, I scrawled in block letters, I owe you one childhood, one future, one life. Then, deliberate as a verdict, I signed their names to it. Forgery.
Petty, but poetic.
Frame it. Merry fucking holidays. I didn't wait for the fallout. Keys in hand, I bolted for the door, snow crunching under my boots as I hit the porch. The neighborhood was a postcard of twinkling lights and inflatable Santas, oblivious to the war zone behind me. But as I fired up the Civic, headlights cutting through the flurry, I heard the front door slam. Dad, lumbering down the steps, coatless in the sub-zero chill. Claire, get back here. I rolled down the window, engine idling like my rage.
Why?
So I can foot the ambulance bill when you freeze your balls off. He stopped short, breath fogging in plumes.
You don't understand.
It's not like that. Then explain it.
Dad.
For once, he hesitated, glancing back at the house where Mom's silhouette hovered, Emily's shadow pacing. The wind howled, carrying echoes of carols from down the block. Silent night. My ass. It started before you were born, he finally muttered. voice cracking like thin ice. Your mom. She had an affair with my partner on the firm. I found out right after Emily came along. DNA test confirmed it. She's not mine. The world tilted, snowflakes blurring into white noise.
Not his.
Emily, the golden child, the artist, the reason I'd sacrificed everything. Not blood? Why tell me now? I choked out. Because you're the only one who gets it, he said, eyes wet. You've been holding us together.
Claire.
Taking the hits. But if you walk, it all crumbles. A plea, raw and ruined. Part of me softened. The fixer in me, the daughter. But the woman I'd become? She revved the engine. Then let it crumble. Build something honest for once. I peeled out, taillights fading into the night, leaving him there in the storm. 3 hours back to Chicago. Radio blasting Springsteen, Born to Run. Fittingly, and my mind replaying it all like a bad loop. Betrayal layered on betrayal. Mom's infidelity. Dad's silence. Emily's unwitting theft of my life. And me, the scapegoat. The stand-in sister. The wallet on legs. But as the skyline loomed, sodium lamps haloing the Sears Tower, a plan crystallized. Not rash revenge, no. Something surgical. American as apple pie and due process. They'd invited me to dinner to pick my bones clean. Fine. I'd RSVP with a reckoning. The next morning, Christmas Day, dawned gray and gritty, the kind of Chicago winter that seeps into your bones like regret. I woke in my studio walk-up on the south side, the radiator hissing like a disgruntled neighbor, and brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint. My laptop hummed to life, the paralegal in me channeling every late-night deposition into digital warfare. First target, Emily. Her Juilliard dreams? I'd bankrolled the facade. But the cracks were there, auditions bombed, reviews scathing. A quick dive into public records, cross-referenced with her socials, unearthed the dirt, a string of DUIs expunged thanks to Daddy's connections, mine. Technically, since I co-signed the bail bonds. One tweet from a bitter ex-classmate painted her as a nepotism queen, sleeping her way to callbacks. I anonymized an email to the dean, tips@Juilliard.edu, CCNG the student paper. Attachments, court docs, timelines linking her absences to Bender's. Subject, the real story behind the star pupil.
Send.
Satisfaction curled in my gut like smoke, but it was just the opener. Mom next. Her roof repair? Bullshit. I'd seen the Zillow comps, house value tanking, but no liens filed. Instead, bank statements, hacked via Dad's forgotten password. Guilty as charged, showed wire transfers to a P.O. box in Reno. Gambling? No. Divorce settlement gambling. She'd been funneling house money to a high-roller attorney, prepping to sue Dad for everything, including my co-signed assets. I forwarded it all to his lawyer, a shark from my firm who'd owed me a favor since I ghost-wrote his briefs. Merry Christmas, Richard. Nail her. He replied in minutes. On it. Alimony reversed by New Year's.
Dad.
The architect of our dysfunction. His private debts? I'd traced them to offshore poker sites. But the real kicker was the life insurance policy, me as beneficiary. But with a rider naming Emily primary if I predeceased under suspicious terms. Paranoid? Maybe. But after the gun bluff, I'd found the .38 in his sock drawer. Unloaded but gleaming. It felt prescient. I called my contact at the precinct, A beat cop I'd helped with a custody case and tipped the fraud squad. Anonymous source. Check the books on Harlan Whitaker. Embezzlement from his own kid's future. By noon, my phone buzzed with fallout. Emily first. WTF, Claire? Dean called. I'm on probation, you bitch. I texted back. Welcome to reality.
Sis.
Pay your own way. Mom. Sobbing voicemail. How could you?
We're family.
Dad. Terse. We need to talk.
Now.
I deleted them all, poured another cup, and watched the snow melt off Lake Michigan for my fire escape. Revenge tasted like black coffee, bitter, hot, necessary. But doubt crept in as the day wore on, isolation gnawing like hunger. Was I the villain now, shredding their safety nets, exposing lies that bound us? Springsteen looped on my speakers, trapped in the belly of this horrible machine. Yeah,
that.
I'd been the machine, oiling the gears of their delusions. Now I was dismantling it, bolt by bolt. Emily's next call came at dusk, slurred and desperate. Claire.
Please.
They're kicking me out. I didn't know. About Dad. About the crash. Mom told me you hated me for it.
A beat.
Do you? Hated her? Once. Maybe. But pity soured it.
No. Eminencia.
I hated what you represented. The easy road I never got. But this? It's on all of us. She sniffled. Come get me? Bus station. I'll pay you back. Swear. Against my better judgment, I grabbed keys. The drive to Union Station was a blur of red taillights and regret. But when I pulled up, there she was, duffel at her feet, violin case clutched like a shield, face streaked with mascara rivers. She slid into the passenger seat, silent until we hit the Dan Ryan. I'm sorry, she whispered. For everything. Words hung there, fragile as tinsel. Me too, I admitted. For not saying it sooner. We talked then, really talked about the crash, the lies, the weight of being the not his kid in a family built on facades. Turns out Mom confessed to her weeks ago. Post my email blast. Dad was packing for Reno, chasing ghosts of what-ifs. What now? Emily asked, as my building loomed. Now, we rebuild. Separately. I dropped her at a hostel, slipped her $200, last of my grace, and drove home. Alone. Finally. New Year's Eve came like a hangover I couldn't shake, the city pulsing with false promises under a sky bruised purple by fireworks. I'd ghosted the family chat, now a graveyard of unread pleas, and thrown myself into work, burying case files in my cubicle like sandbags against a flood. But revenge, I learned, isn't a one and done, it's a slow bleed, staining everything it touches. Emily crashed on my couch for a week, then vanished to a waitressing gig in Brooklyn. Texting sporadically. Audition went okay. Miss you. Mom sold the house in a fire sale, splitting proceeds with Dad in a settlement that left them both scraping by on Social Security previews. Dad, radio silence, until a certified letter arrived mid-January. Divorce final. My co-signatures voided, and a check for $15,000 for the years I stole.
No apology.
Just coordinates to a storage unit in Gary, Indiana.
Curiosity.
That old bitch dragged me there on a Saturday, the warehouse reeking of rust and regret. Inside Unit 47, boxes of my childhood, report cards, Little League trophies, the diary I'd buried under the floorboards at 14, pages filled with pleas to make it stop. And at the bottom, a manila envelope. Yellowed. Claire, read alone. Dad's scrawl. I tore it open in the dim fluorescence. Heart thudding like a bass line at a dive bar. Letters. Faded. One from Mom to her lover, confessing pregnancy panic. Another from Dad to a PI, confirming Emily's paternity. And the kicker, a police report from '95, the year before the crash. Mom. Busted for shoplifting formula and diapers at the local Jewel-Osco. Charges dropped after Dad pulled strings. But the note clipped to it? Claire was there. Witnessed. Swore to silence. Jesus. I'd been 4. Clutching a teddy in the cart. Watching her stuff Pampers under her coat because times were tight. She made me promise. Our secret. Baby girl. Mommy loves you. The first betrayal. Foundational. The crack in the dam that flooded everything after. I sat on a crate amid the dust motes. Tears hot and unbidden. Not for them, for me. The kid who'd learned early that love was transactional. Silence the currency of belonging. Driving back. 90 a ribbon of slush. The plan evolved. No more digital potshots. This needed face-to-face. A reckoning in the flesh. I called Emily. Family Summit. My place. Valentine's. Neutral ground. She agreed. Voice wary. Dad too. All of us. Mom RSVP'd via text. For Claire?
Anything.
Dad's call was gruff. If it's amends, I'm in. If it's war, count me out. Amends.
Va.
The line blurred, like the skyline smearing in rain. February 14th. My apartment transformed, heart-shaped balloons ironic as hell. Takeout from Giordano's, deep dish. Because Chicago doesn't do half measures and a bottle of bourbon. Dad's vice. My olive branch. They arrived in waves, Emily first, gaunt but grinning, a bouquet of discount roses. For the hostess with the most regrets. Hugs.
Tentative.
Thawing the ice. Mom next. Bundled in a pashmina that screamed thrift store chic. Eyes red-rimmed. You look good. Honey. Strong. Dad last. Stooped in a Carhartt jacket. Smelling of Old Spice and ozone. No words at first, just a nod. Heavy as lead. We circled the coffee table like gladiators. Pizza slices cooling untouched. Ground rules, I said. Voice steady from too many depositions.
Truth. No filters.
Or we walk. Nods all around. Emily broke ice. I knew about the affair. Mom told me in rehab last year. Fentanyl.
Claire.
I almost didn't make it. Rehab. Another secret. Another hit I'd taken. Her creative retreat, funded by my Venmo. Mom sobbed. I was young.
Scared.
Harlan forgave. But the guilt. It poisoned us. Dad stared at his hands. Knuckles white. I stayed for you.
Claire.
The real one. Emily was the reminder.
But you?
You were mine. The air thickened. Confessions piling like unpaid bills. My turn. The crash. The forgery. The gun, gasps echoed. I pulled it because I wanted you to feel scared. Like I have my whole life. Scared of losing everything. Emily reached for my hand. You saved me that night. I owed you my life.
Owed.
The word stung. Mom whispered. The shoplifting. I thought you'd forgotten. Forgotten? It was my origin story. The first lesson in complicity. Dad cleared his throat. Bourbon untouched. There's more. The firm didn't tank in '08. I cooked the books, embezzled from clients to cover poker losses. Used your name on the LLC because you were clean. When it blew, I let you take the heat on the cosigns.
Clean.
The word hollowed me. Why? He met my eyes. Finally, because you're the fixer. Always were. But I see now I broke you doing it. Silence crashed. Heavier than the L train rumbling outside. Emily's eyes darted. Wait.
Dad.
You mean the crash wasn't the only cover? He nodded.
Slow.
I paid off the cop for your record.
Claire.
Sealed it. But not before it cost you Northwestern.
Cost me.
Everything. Rage bubbled. But laced with pity, this broken man, architect of our ruin, crumbling under his own blueprint. That's when the twist hit. Sly as a backroom deal. Mom straightened, voice sharpening. Harlan. Enough. Tell her the rest. Dad's face drained. What? She turned to me. Eyes steel. Your father's not who you think. The PI? He dug deeper. Harlan sterile from a war injury in Nam. Emily's his.
Fine.
But you?
Claire?
You're mine and the partner's. Not Harlan's. The room spun. Pizza congealing into wax.
Not his?
The real one? Laughter escaped. Hysterical. So, I'm the bastard too? Just a different sperm donor? Emily recoiled. No. Mom, Dad, Harlan, slammed the table. Lies. You told me. Mom cut him. To keep you.
Both of you.
The family was a house of cards, and I stacked it high. Chaos erupted. Emily bolting for the bathroom. Retching. Harlan lunging at Mom. Stopped by my shout, me. Frozen. The album from Christmas flashing, photos of a lie squared. Betrayal fractal. Infinite. Get out, I whispered. Then roared. All of you. They scattered. Harlan muttering curses. Mom trailing apologies. Emily's I'm sorry echoing down the hall. Alone again. Valentine's chocolates mocking from a counter. I poured the bourbon neat. Twist upon twist. No one the villain. All complicit.
Me?
Most of all for believing the myth. For paying the tolls. But as sirens wailed below, a new resolve hardened. No more fixer. Time to burn the bridge. Salt the earth. March crept in like a debtor-collector. Wet winds off the lake whipping my coat as I filed the paperwork. Not just Dad's, Harlan's embezzlement suit. Pro bono through my firm. Whistleblower status shielding me. Mom's fraud claim. Petty thefts from church fundraisers traced back decades. Emily? I sponsored her NA meetings remotely. But cut the cord. Earn it.
Sis.
Or don't. Controversial? Hell yes, readers of my anonymous blog started post-Christmas. The Fixer's Ledger, split down the middle. Claire's a hero. Exposing the leeches, versus. She's destroying her family for spite, cold-blooded. The blog blew up. Viral on Reddit's r/true off my chest. Comments a battlefield. Blood doesn't owe you shit, clashing with forgive. She's your mom. I'm moderated from afar. The drama fueling my climb, a junior associate gig at a boutique firm, specializing in family law ironies. But the hauntings persisted, nightmares of the gun. Unloaded but loaded with what-ifs, voicemails from Harlan begging mediation, Emily's texts.
Found a job.
Bartending. Proud. April showers brought the climax. Uninvited. Tax day. Specifically fitting. since our sins were all about unpaid dues. I was in court, wrapping a custody battle, irony, the dad forging docs to screw his ex. When my phone vibrated, unknown number. Claire Whitaker? This is Detective Ruiz. Chicago PD. Your father's. Harlan's. In custody. Needs you to ID. Embezzlement bust. Full scope, $500,000 siphoned.
Client ruined.
Including the widow who'd lost her pension. I drove to the station in a daze. Rain lashing the windshield like accusations. The interrogation room. Harlan, cuffed to the table. Face a roadmap of regret. Jowls sagging. Eyes hollow. Claire, he rasped as I entered.
Ruiz nodding me in.
Didn't think you'd come. I sat. Recorder off per his plea. For closure. Not you. He nodded.
Swallowing.
The partner's name, your real dad? Victor Lang. Died in 2009. Crash on 294.
Drunk.
I covered it. Told your mom he bailed. Kept the checks coming to make up for it.
Checks.
The loans I'd repaid tenfold. Why confess now? He leaned in, chains rattling. Because you're right.
Crumble it.
But take this. He slid a key across the table. Storage unit. Part 2. Your inheritance. Victor's. Clean money. I pocketed it.
Standing.
Rot for what you stole. Harlan. From them. From me. Outside. Rain easing. I called Emily. He's done. Our non-dad. You okay? Her voice cracked. Yeah. Therapy's helping. Mom's in counseling too. She wants to meet. Make amends. Amends. The words soured again. The unit yielded bonds, $100K. Victor's nest egg and a letter. To my daughter. If you ever learn. I watched from afar. Proud. Tears then. Real ones. For the ghost father I'd never mourned. But the high was fleeting. Controversy brewed. Blog exploded. OP's bio dad was a drunk? Karma versus. She's profiting off tragedy vulture. Sides drawn. Debates raging in DMs. Forgive the family. Or torch it. May bloomed bloody-knuckled. My choice looming. Memorial Day weekend. I drove back to Elm Street. House sold. But the empty lot a scar. Mom waited on the curb. Thinner. Grayer. A thermos of coffee in hand. Picnic? She asked.
Tentative.
We sat on the grass where the oak used to shade our swings. Sipping spiked Folgers. Watching kids bike past. I was selfish, she admitted. Chased love. Lost daughters. No excuses. Just truth. Can we try? I hesitated. The fixer warring with the free woman. Maybe. But no more bills. Emotional or otherwise. Emily joined via Zoom from Brooklyn. Face pixelated but present. Group hug. Laughter. Fragile. Harlan's trial loomed. Plea deal. 5 years, but his check cleared. Restitution flowing to victims. Including me. Closure? Not quite. But a truce. Controversial as hell. Family not erased. But rewritten. Debts acknowledged. Summer solstice. I stood on my fire escape. City humming below. Bourbon swapped for IPAs. The response that shocked them? Not the gun. Not the leaks. It was this walking away whole. Letting them face their mirrors. Readers argued in comments. Too soft. Redemption arc. But I slept sounder. The weight lifting like fog off the lake. Yet peace, that slippery bastard, evaded me through June's heat wave, the asphalt shimmering like my unresolved fury. The blog hit 50K subs. Monetized now with Patreon rants on familial fraud, but the trolls dug deep, doxing attempts. Emails from concerned relatives spilling more Whitaker's dirt. Turns out Victor Lang had a son, my half-brother, estranged, running a mechanic shop in Milwaukee. He reached out post-letter, heard about the unit. DNA match? Coffee. Skeptical. I drove north. Lake Michigan, a blue vein paralleling the interstate. Russ Lang was broad-shouldered. Grease monkey hands. Eyes like mine, storm gray. Wary. Overburnt Diner Joe. He laid it out. Victor's crash wasn't solo. DUI fleeing a dealer owed $10,000 from card games. Dad was a ghost, Russ said, stirring sugar like it could sweeten the rot. Left me the shop. You the bonds. Fair.
Fair.
The word mocked. But we swapped stories, his absentee dad postcards, my phantom loans, and parted with numbers exchanged. A thread pulled, not snapped. July 4th. Fireworks cracked over the lakefront. Crowds cheering explosions that echoed my internal boom. Emily visited. Crashing my rooftop barbecue with craft beers and confessions. Landed a gig. Understudy in Hamilton tour.
No nepotism.
Swear. Pride swelled. Unbidden. We watched the sky bloom red, white, blue. Her head on my shoulder. Thanks for the push.
Claire.
The tough love. Tough love. American as it gets, bootstrap your way out. Or bust. But Mom's call shattered the glow. Harlan sick. Prison doc says liver cirrhosis. Wants to see you. The fixer flinched. But the Avenger sneered. I went anyway. Cook County Jail, a concrete purgatory. Visiting room buzzing with desperate whispers. Harlan behind plexiglass. Jaundice yellow. Voice a wheeze.
Claire.
My girl. Not his. But the claim stuck like tar. Why? I asked. Receiver cold. Absolution? Or another con? He coughed. Ragged. Both. Tell Emily.
I'm sorry.
For the lie.
Lie.
The original sin. I relate it later. Her response a shrug. Too late.
But.
Tell him I forgive. For me. Forgiveness. Controversial currency. Readers torched my post. Weak. Let him rot. Versus. Healing hate. Growth. Sides calcified. Debates spilling to X. Where blue-check therapists opined on toxic enmeshment. I muted it all. Focusing on Falls Pivot. Law school apps. Deferred dreams reignited. Northwestern. Full circle. Record unsealed, but explained in essays that bled truth. August sweltered into September's crisp bite. Leaves turning like pages in an overdue library book. Mom moved to a senior complex in Peoria. Volunteering at a food bank, irony noted, and sent weekly cards, recipes clipped from the Tribune. No asks attached. Pumpkin bread. Your favorite. I baked it once. Burned the edges. But the gesture stuck. Emily's tour kicked off in D.C. FaceTimes from green rooms. Crowd loves it. Miss our pizza nights. Family. Fractured but functional. The final twist dropped like an autumn gale. October's Eve. A letter from the warden. Harlan dead. Suicide, pills in his cell. Note for me. You are the best of us. Free now.
Free.
The word unlocked something primal. I drove to the lot on Elm. Now a for sale sign staking claim to fresh starts. And scattered his ashes, smuggled in a vial by a sympathetic guard, from the Honda's trunk. Wind whipped them east, toward the lake, toward unknowns. Mom and Emily joined. Silent circle. No words needed. Betrayal's echo faded, replaced by wind chimes on a neighbor's porch. Halloween night. Back in Chicago. I hosted a bonfire in my alley, costumes optional. Truths mandatory. Russ showed. Half-bro in a flannel ghost of Victor's. Sharing war stories over Esmores. Readers tuned in live via IG. Epic closure. Still sounds manipulative run. Debate eternal. But I own the gray, no heroes. Just humans clawing from the wreckage. November's chill heralded Thanksgiving. First without the old script. I flew Emily home, her treat, and we crashed Russ's shop. Turkey smoked on a barrel grill. Mom zooming from Peoria with pie pixels. Laughter came easy, laced with remember whens that honored scars, not wounds. No bills passed. Just gratitude lists scribbled on napkins. Mine read, silence bought. Now sold cheap. December rolled in. Snow dusting the city like powdered sugar on beignet. Christmas Eve. I strung lights on my fire escape, twinkling defiance, and invited the patchwork. Emily in from tour. Russ driving down with pie. Mom on the train. No Harlan shadow. No Elm Street ghosts. We ate takeout Thai, spicy, untraditional, and swapped gifts. Emily a violin pendant. Russ a toolkit engraved, Fixer 2.0. Mom a photo album, new. Blank pages. For the stories we write now. As midnight told. Carols faint from the street. I raised a glass. To shocks that wake us. They clinked. Eyes meeting in that electric post-storm clarity. Shocking? My response that long ago night. Gun in hand. Spark the fire. But this, the quiet rebuild. Controversial in its mercy. That's the real twist. Readers would argue. Justice or capitulation. Hero or enabler.
Me?
I sleep with the window cracked. Lake breeze whispering enough. Blood may not be thicker. But chosen ties? They bend. Don't break. And in America's grind. That's the win. The end? Open. Like the album. Your call.